Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a sponsor of the Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding for the Spark is provided by Christian Brothers University, Mueller Industries, MyTown Movers, MyTown Roofing, MyTown Miracles, and by Serves.
As we kick off our 6th year and season with the Spark, our theme this month is Technology as a Solution. We'll learn more about a school teaching students with dyslexia to read and succeed, an organization bringing agencies together to focus on innovative crime prevention methods, and a company that's integrating and leveraging technology for trade shows, meetings, and events locally and globally. We'll also share a special moment from our Spark Awards 2017. Ever been excited by a new idea? Inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes making a difference in their own way so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders who are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. They're a school teaching students with dyslexia to read and succeed. I'm here with the head of school for Bodine School, John Murphy. And so Bodine School, when you talk about rich legacy and history, let's start with a little bit of the history and context. So give us some history for Bodine School.
We are, Bodine School started in 1972. It was founded by Dick and Jenny Bodine. Interesting story, 2 engineers. They had one son named Rick. He was dyslexic. Struggled all through school. In his junior year, they sent him to the Mills School in Florida. He was killed tragically in a PE accident. So out of that, the Bodine said they wanted no other Memphis family to have to go through what they went through. So started the Bodine School.
Because you do things very differently when you talk about kind of having an innovation lab using technology, but it's all students with dyslexia, and you're helping them read and succeed. I mean, that's part of the mission. But give us an idea of kind of what that looks like. And you do work with all the different schools here, so you have a very collaborative approach yourself.
Right. We have a very focused mission. So all of our students, grades 1 through 6, are struggling with dyslexia, and they have to be mission appropriate. They have average and above average IQs. They have good language skills. Yes, we partner with many schools throughout the city. That's the way we get students. A student may be struggling at a school. Typically, then they would go to a psychologist for some testing to determine what's going on. And then if that situation is dyslexia, then the psychologist might recommend Bodine. And so it's a triangle of school, psychologist, and then to us.
Describe what dyslexia is and kind of what it entails. I mean, I think some of us have an idea, but not really.
Right. It is very misunderstood by people. They associate it mostly with switching your B's and your D's, and it's so much more than that. It is a neurological or brain-based disorder, and it's typically characterized by difficulty in reading, writing, and spelling. And it has nothing to do with intelligence. In our society, it may appear that way if you can't spell or you have difficulty reading, but it's nothing to do with intelligence. It's an inability or a difficulty on the part of the dyslexic to be able to interpret symbols with sounds is one of the basic difficulties that they have. A dyslexic would have difficulty with rhyming, for instance. We may have learned to spell ball is B-A-L-L, now spell wall, well, W-A-L-L, or tall, T-A-L-L. That would be very difficult for a dyslexic person to be able to associate that sound with the symbols.
Gotcha. So talk about things that are different, because I mentioned the Innovation Lab, the use of technology. Give us some of the things that really stand out on your end that are unique experiences but are great ones that really help students succeed.
Well, I'm fortunate. I came out of a traditional elementary school setting, so I've been doing that for a long time. understand about elementary schools. At Bodine, we focus on the language arts and the remediation. So 2 hours every morning is just sacred time that we only work on that. That's what the children need. We use the Orton-Gillingham method, which is the gold standard for working with children with dyslexia. And we focus on what they need. We start with the small units of sound, symbol association, and we build up to words and to sentences and to paragraphs. And so quite fascinating, the changes that we can make with the child in their ability. You're not going to cure dyslexia, but our goal is that they are able to access their education.
And talk about success, because I think that's a big piece of this, is you're helping them to go off and have to learn to read and succeed. So success is a huge piece of this.
Well, we many of our graduates go on and do very well in school and beyond. They may never be good spellers. They may always be slow readers, but we send them away with a confidence, a self-advocacy spirit that I need help with this. This is something that is a struggle for me, yet I'm very smart. So we had the top student at Houston Middle School last year. We have children that are on the honor rolls at schools that we hear from. We keep up with them. So it's not limiting to what you can do at all. And there are many famous people with dyslexia. One of my favorites is Richard Branson, who owns Virgin Airlines. Quite a character, but has not let his dyslexia, he's very open about it, has not let it stand in the way of his success.
So if I have a son or daughter that has dyslexia, what's the next step in terms of reaching out to you, connecting the dots? How does that process start? Well,
if you have any concern at all, please just call us, go to our website and contact us. And we have an admissions director, and he can talk you through the process. We can have your child screened. We can help you to determine what direction to take. I would just encourage people, just don't hesitate. If it's not dyslexia, if we're not the right fit, then we will help you with that too. But just reach out and call us, or check us out on our website, email us.
And go ahead and tell them the website. Can't say it enough.
The website is bodineschool.org, BODINE school.org. And then our phone number is 901-754-1800.
Well, John, greatly appreciate all you do and appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
They're an organization bringing agencies together to focus on innovative crime prevention methods. I'm here with the president of Memphis Shelby Crime Commission, Bill Gibbons. And let's start with a little bit of history and context. So give us a little bit of the history for Memphis Shelby Crime Commission.
Sure. The Crime Commission has been around for about 20 years. Really, it's a nonprofit designed to identify and promote best practices to reduce crime. We're the only entity in the Memphis community really focused on developing and then spearheading implementation of a specific plan to reduce crime. That plan is called Operation Safe Community.
And so I mentioned bringing a lot of agencies together, so very collaborative, obviously, when you're talking about tackling crime and prevention. It takes a group effort. So give us an idea of some of the different agencies that you partner with and work with.
Basically, every agency you can think of involved directly in crime reduction. The Memphis Police Department, Shelby County Sheriff's Office, Shelby County DA's Office, U.S. Attorney's Office, Department of Correction, the County Division of Correction. We have a 50-member board of directors overseeing the Crime Commission. 25 of those are public sector members. 25 of those are private sector members, which is a good mix. Both Mayor Strickland and Mayor Luttrell, for example, are very involved as board members as well.
When you talk about Operation Safe Community, give us an idea of some of the kind of the goals, the plans, so that the public knows kind of what are the main goals?
Well, it's a 5-year plan. We're in the very first year. And the main focus is really twofold. Number one, reducing violent crime. Number two, really increasing community involvement and citizen engagement in the fight to reduce crime. It can't just be law enforcement and prosecutors. It's got to be the entire community. We've made some real progress during this first year, I think. For the first time since 2011, we're going to see a net increase in the number of police officers, which I think is very important in terms of moving us in the right direction. We were able to persuade the General Assembly to enact tougher sentencing laws for convicted felons who persist in carrying guns. And we have a communications effort to communicate that to individuals, hopefully to change behavior. That's what we're trying to do. That's called the Fed Up message, and hopefully many of your listeners have seen that. And the DA's office has implemented a community prosecution model in the Old Allen Police Precinct, which is basically Fraser and Raleigh, and we think that has a lot of promise as well.
Talk about technology, because I know that one of the things that makes the MPD in Memphis special when you look at even globally is being able to use technology to predict where crimes are occurring and statistical analysis and Blue Crush. So
right.
Talk about innovation and technology related to what you're doing.
Well, that's very, very important. I mean, we are working with the city of Memphis to increase the number of police officers because we've had a net loss of 20% over the last 5 years. But it's not just a matter of increasing the number of police officers. It's also a matter of making sure that we are data-driven in how we use those police officers, making sure they're in the right places at the right times to have the maximum impact. So that involves really analyzing data on a day-to-day basis. The Memphis Police Department is dedicated to that. They have weekly meetings to really analyze crime patterns, where the hot spots are, and then commit the resources to those hotspots. But again, we've had a net loss of about 20% of those resources over the last 5 years. So we're trying to build that back up, working with the city of Memphis, but also making sure they are deployed in a data-driven way.
How can the public help me? Obviously, you mentioned that's one of the major pieces of this is getting the public involved. So talk about some ways that we can help.
Sure. A couple of things. Number one, Neighborhood Watch. What we are trying to do through the Operation Safe Community Plan is increase the number of active, effective Neighborhood Watch programs throughout the community. We have a goal of a 20% increase over the next 5 years in Neighborhood Watch programs and participants. We think that's a very important aspect of this in terms of getting the community involved, working with law enforcement. Another example, which Mayor Strickland points out a lot, which I think is very important, is citizens willing to be mentors to young people who may be at risk, who may be headed in the wrong direction. I think we have a real opportunity there. One thing that I hope we do in 2018 as part of the Operation Safe Community Plan is open what is called a juvenile assessment center, at least on a pilot basis, to assess what's going on in a young person's life who's interacted with law enforcement, maybe what's going on with that young person's family, try to assess that and determine what the needs are. I think in a lot of cases, pairing that young person with a mentor can make a big difference. So we hope as part of that juvenile assessment center to really have in the can, so to speak, many dedicated citizens in this community who are willing to step forward and be mentors.
So really kind of an intervention, a proactive intervention where
Absolutely.
You've got the support, holistic approach. Talk about, on your end, maybe one or two tips, because I know Stow It, Don't Show It is a big one. When you talk about how, some other ways, just basic tips, keeping the lights on, so that if you're away, the lights on in the house, the bushes trimmed back. I'm just thinking some of the big ones, but I know Stow It, Don't Show It is one of the biggest ones, but what are some basic tips that you would throw out there? Well,
I'm going to add one to one you added. All those are very good in terms of Neighborhood Watch, and kind of, there's truth to the old saying, if you see something, say something.
Right.
That is very, very important. But another thing that citizens need to be very vigilant about is not leaving their cars running when they go into the laundry or go into the service station, not leaving their keys in the car. We've had a very, very significant uptick in the number of auto thefts in our community. And what law enforcement will tell you, it's because we, in too many cases, are making it easy for those thieves to do it by leaving the keys in the car or leaving the motor running. So that's an example of what citizens can do to try to cut down on that.
The last one is you guys are funded by individual donations. So when you look at the work that you're doing, so talk about the funding aspect and our ability to help there too.
We are totally dependent on the private sector for our funding. We receive no public funds. So it is important that we have that partnership with the private sector. We have a lot of support there in terms of our operating cost. I might also add that through the Crime Commission, the private sector is coming forward with over $6 million, $6.1 million, to assist the city of Memphis in recruiting and retaining police officers through retention bonuses and recruitment bonuses. That's an example of what the private sector can do. I don't think you could find another city in America where the private sector is willing to come forward with over $6 million to help recruit and retain police officers. That says something very good about the private sector in this community.
Well, last question is the easy one, is where do we go to learn more? So what's the website for Memphis Shelby Crime Commission?
www.memphiscrime.org.
Well, Bill, thanks for all you do. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
The Spark Awards annually recognize and celebrate individuals and organizations that have made outstanding contributions to the community. This year's recipient of the award for nonprofits with budgets between $1 and $5 million is the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis has been around about 57 years. Nationally, we've been around over 100 years. So we've got a long history in Memphis. We've come a long way over time. And back in the early 90s, we added girls. It used to just be boys clubs. So it's been a long ride, and Memphis has been a pioneer in a lot of different ways. A lot of people don't realize the importance that this city has played in the Boys and Girls Club movement. We serve basically any child between 6 and 18 years of age, but our clubs are critically placed in high-risk neighborhoods and areas that kids need us most. When I arrived, we had 6 sites, plus a technical training center, and a camp in Como, Mississippi, a summer camp on Lake Sardis. Since then, we've added 4 additional sites, so we're currently serving 10 traditional clubs, plus a technical training center and the summer camp.
And talk about, the fact that is it 90% are 200% below poverty? I mean, so give us kind of a snapshot of the typical youth that you serve.
People have got to understand a lot of our families are able to work because they know their children are in a safe place that they can afford. We only charge $5 a year for a membership. And so they know they can leave their child after school or all day long in the summer. Many times they spend more hours with us than they do with their families. And so it's an important program, an important way to fight poverty. If a parent knows their child is safe, they can concentrate on what they need to do and their work. Also, we're also doing that with our own kids. One of our main focuses is workforce development. So many of our kids are employed as junior staff, and then we have programs at our technical training center that allow them to go on and gain full employment when they graduate.
Nice, I love it. Talk about the Juice Plus Technical Training Center.
First of its kind in the country. It's become a pilot for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. In fact, we've had so many tours. It's unbelievable how many people have come to Memphis just to see that site. I was invited to come. The mayor invited me to come to Washington D.C. to present on the employee program and the kids that we had working there over the summer. So basically what we do there is all the teens that go there, they're primarily juniors and seniors in high school, although we did extend the age up to 23 because we realized just because you graduate from high school, you might not necessarily be ready to go into a career yet. But all of the teens receive soft skills training, so resume writing, interview techniques, money management, all of those things, they all go through that. And then they also can select one of several different career paths. So we have logistics, we have automotive, we have culinary arts, and we have IT, and we added welding this year. We work with FedEx Tech Connect, we work with Nike, we work with over 120 different companies locally to place our kids. When I see one of these young people, getting dressed up for an interview, and we have a suit closet where they can go get a suit or a dress, and we prepare them and prep them. We have vehicles they can borrow to go on an interview. And when I see them get ready and they're all confident and they come back and they've been offered a job, it really makes me happy. Some of the things they've overcome and how successful they are now, it's amazing to me.
They're integrating and leveraging technologies for trade shows, events, and meetings locally and globally. We're here with Grace Fong Burns. She's a senior marketing consultant with Skyline Exhibits MidSouth. And let's start, it's local, but you're global. Explain what you do with Skyline Exhibits Mid-South.
Hey, Jeremy. So we are local, we are global, we are definitely domestic around the country here in the U.S. We started back in 1980, and we have offices all over the country and all over the world, in China, in Europe, in Mexico, so in Canada. And what we do is we help the world trade. We are a marketing communications company. We build exhibits for trade shows, and we work with clients to get them that next step forward in marketing communications.
And so it's everything from a pop-up banner to huge trade show exhibits to signage. I mean, it's literally a lot.
It's a lot. We do quite a bit of stuff for all of our clients, from nonprofits, pull-up banners, to large global companies that go to big trade shows, that have those large island exhibit presences where they're bringing their company to the show floor for clients to see their new products and innovations.
And one of the things that makes you very unique is you'll go to these huge trade shows and you set it up for them. I mean, you have a huge team that will go and transport everything, set it up. And so in essence, you really are kind of the face forward for these organizations. And even you yourself will go out many times, and you're there to make sure that the experience is good, but you're representing the brand effectively, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So what's unique about Skyline is that we have offices all over the country and all over the world. So when we are out there with our clients, we have designated certified I&D teams in each of those cities that will help build the booths for the clients. So we're in effect saving them money by not having to send crews out to the different cities that they're going to. And yeah, I do travel with clients to shows, and that is to help support them and their initiative and make sure that when the show opens, they're looking their best.
Technology obviously plays a very heavy role, not only in the new graphics and being able to do things bigger and better and more effectively, but also too integrating things like virtual reality and augmented reality. So talk about some of the newest innovations. I know there's one, Windscape, where it just pops up automatically and it's super light and you can carry it with you on your back. So talk about some of the technology innovations with Skyline.
Sure. Let's talk about Windscape first. We rolled that product out 4 years ago, but then we probably spent another 3 years in research and development on it. It all started with us trying to think of a way for people to go to shows and not having to spend a lot on money for shipping a booth or a lot of times setting it up. So we came up with the Skyline Windscape. It is an air-powered exhibit system. Really what it is like you take an inflator, you inflate the air tube frame. Setup takes about 8 minutes or so, and then you're all set and done. Easy for the client, and a full 10 by 10 exhibit will fit into a carry-on bag. When we talk about things like actual AV technology or technology in augmented reality or virtual reality, we're kind of seeing a trend in that change, because a lot of times it's very expensive to go to a trade show, and there's a lot of investment and time for everybody, and not all the time can you bring a huge piece of equipment into a show where it might be the first time you're going to the show and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Right. So we partner with different companies to work with them on what technologies are out there. So for example, if we don't want to bring in a $1 million piece of equipment, well, can we do something with augmented reality and have someone look at it through an iPad in that virtual space or in the space around the trade show and see how big it actually is when it's like in your own
so you can sit there, be looking around through technology and see it all come to life.
Exactly. And so it's very interesting what people are doing now with technology. And of course you've got the Consumer Electronics Show, and that has a lot of this rolling out in the forefront, and we've seen it in the last couple of years how that's like transitioning for a lot of clients.
Talk about you personally. I know that you are heavily involved with a number of nonprofit events. You like to go out and you're very driven in terms of volunteerism as well. So talk about that aspect of just being kind of a face for your company, but being out in the community and serving.
I've been doing trade show exhibits for 20 years now. And living in Memphis, I've found that people are very giving here, very open to volunteering, and I see a passion in that myself. So I've joined, I'm on a lot of boards in Memphis that deal with the marketing and advertising realm. And then with being a partner with City Current, I find that it brings something for myself to be able to give back to the community. So that's why I enjoy doing it, and anytime there's an opportunity, I'm just like, here, sign me up.
Absolutely, you're the first to sign up and volunteer your time, which I absolutely love. Well, last question is the easy one, is just tell everyone where they can learn more about Skyline and how can they connect in.
Sure. So we're at www.skyline.com, and you can find our contact information on that site, and that's pretty much where to find us.
Makes it easy. Well, Grace, appreciate all you do and for coming on the show. Thank you.
Thanks.
As we saw in this month's episode, technology is not just shaping the way we connect and communicate, it's transforming the way we fight crime. We teach and help our children learn and succeed. We ideate and create new products, environments, and opportunities to stand out, enrich our lives, and impact our businesses. Schools like Bodine School are using technology in the classroom to bring education to life, to help students overcome dyslexia and learn to read, write, and spell. They're using innovation labs that incorporate science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics to prepare students not just for the next grade, but for the real world. Organizations like Memphis Shelby Crime Commission are using technology to collaborate with stakeholders to research, track, and predict crimes in order to prevent them and make our communities safer. And companies like Skyline Exhibits MidSouth are integrating and leveraging technology to deliver innovative designs and unique experiences that add a whole new dimensions to trade shows, meetings, and events. So yes, indeed, technology can be a powerful solution. Thank you for watching The Spark. To learn more about each of the guests, to watch past episodes, and to share your stories of others leading by example, visit WKNO.org and click on the link for The Spark. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you'll join with us in creating a spark for the Mid-South.
Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a sponsor of The Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
Succeed, an organization bringing agencies together to focus on innovative crime prevention methods, and a company that's integrating and leveraging technology for trade shows, meetings, and events locally and globally. We'll also share a special moment from our Spark Awards 2017. Ever been excited by a new idea? Inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes making a difference in their own way so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders who are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. They're a school teaching students with dyslexia to read and succeed. I'm here with the head of school for Bodine School, John Murphy. And so Bodine School, when you talk about rich legacy and history, let's start with a little bit of the history and context. So give us some history for Bodine School.
We are, Bodine School started in 1972, was founded by Dick and Jenny Bodine. Interesting story, two engineers. They had one son named Rick. He was dyslexic. Struggled all through school. In his junior year, they sent him to the Mills School in Florida. He was killed tragically in a PE accident. So out of that, the Bodine said they wanted no other Memphis family to have to go through what they went through. So started the Bodine School.
Because you do things very differently when you talk about kind of having an innovation lab using technology, but it's all students with dyslexia, and you're helping them read and succeed. I mean, that's part of the mission. But give us an idea of kind of what that looks like, and you do work with all the different schools here, so you have a very collaborative approach yourself.
Right. We have a very focused.
Just like having relevant and accurate information is necessary to make sound hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a sponsor of the Spark.
Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance is honored to serve the Memphis community for over 60 years. We've always focused on supporting our community and believe in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding for the Spark is provided by Christian Brothers University, Mueller Industries, MyTown Movers, MyTown Roofing, MyTown Miracles, and by Serves.
As we kick off our 6th year and season with the Spark, our theme this month is Technology as a Solution. We'll learn more about a school teaching students with dyslexia to read and...
So all of our students, grades 1 through 6, are struggling with dyslexia, they have to be mission appropriate. They have average and above average IQs. They have good language skills. Yes, we partner with many schools throughout the city. That's the way we get students. A student may be struggling at a school. Typically, then they would go to a psychologist for some testing to determine what's going on. And then if that situation is dyslexia, then the psychologist might recommend Bodine. And so it's a triangle of school, psychologist, and then to us.
Describe what dyslexia is and kind of what it entails. I mean, I think some of us have an idea, but not really.
Right, it is very misunderstood by people. They associate it mostly with switching your B's and your D's, and it's so much more than that. It is a neurological or brain-based disorder, and it's typically characterized by difficulty in reading, writing, and spelling. It has nothing to do with intelligence. In our society, it may appear that way if you can't spell or you have difficulty reading, but it's nothing to do with intelligence. It's an inability or a difficulty on the part of the dyslexic to be able to interpret symbols with sounds is one of the basic difficulties that they have. A dyslexic would have difficulty with rhyming, for instance. We may have learned to spell ball as B-A-L-L, now spell wall, well, W-A-L-L, or tall, T-A-L-L. That would be very difficult for a dyslexic person to be able to associate that sound with the symbol.